Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're taking what honestly feels like an overwhelming tidal wave of AI systems and transforming it into a crystal clear, actionable roadmap for 2026. If you've been watching this space at all, you know it's evolving at an absolutely breakneck speed. So, we're going to build a complete guide to mastering the modern AI ecosystem's heavy hitters. I'm talking ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, DeepSeek, and Mistral, and show you exactly how to take those foundational tools and turn them into a step-by-step journey toward total AI mastery.
So let's dive right into this massive question. Because look, right now, almost everyone is an AI user on some basic level, right? But to move beyond just casually chatting with AI, to actually leveraging it to build systems, solve complex problems, and create real business value, you need a specific path. You can't just wander aimlessly through disjointed documentation. Doing that, it only leads to frustration and burnout. To actually progress, you need a ladder.
Here's our roadmap for today. We'll start with the 2026 AI landscape, then move through Stage 1, the AI user, Stage 2, the power user, Stage 3, the AI builder, and Stage 4, the AI entrepreneur. Finally, we'll wrap up with how to stay ahead in AI.
All right, Part 1, the 2026 AI landscape, foundation of the modern ecosystem.
You know, before you can build the penthouse, you've got to pour the concrete. If your goal is to build and monetize, you must first become highly effective with these central systems. These are the big five, and they are absolutely the definitive engines powering everything we'll discuss today. ChatGPT is your versatile everyday all-rounder. Claude, it's the undisputed master of deep coding and complex reasoning. Gemini integrates flawlessly with live data across the entire Google ecosystem. And then you have DeepSeek and Mistral, which represent the absolute bleeding edge of open-weight, highly cost-effective models. Understanding the nuances of these specific brains is the core of your journey. This isn't just about sending a quick prompt. It's about forming an intuitive grasp of how these distinct platforms process information and handle logic so you can harness them for massive automation later on.
And this right here brilliantly illustrates the massive jump in complexity we're navigating today. It's literally about crossing a chasm. On one side, you have your starting point, reading the basic official documentation. It's safe and it's highly structured. But on the other side is where you're headed, engineering complex autonomous agent systems using frameworks like FlowEyes and AutoGen. Think of an agent like a digital employee. Instead of you just prompting an AI to write an email, you actually build an agent that actively monitors your inbox, drafts the perfect reply based on your company's knowledge base, and sends it out while you're literally sleeping. The gap between reading introductory docs and building that autonomous digital worker is huge, for sure, but it's entirely crossable if you follow the right steps.
So the really crucial point here is following this specific sequence for your first 5 steps. This is what transitions you from a basic user to a power user. Notice how you don't jump straight into complex coding. You start with the OpenAI Academy to learn the bedrock of prompting. Then you move to the Anthropic docs to really understand Claude's unique architecture. Step 3 is diving into the Gemini docs. Once you have a firm handle on those major commercial models, Step 4 takes you to the Hugging Face course to grasp open source platforms. And Step 5 introduces you to LangChain. If the AI models we just talked about are the engine, well, LangChain is the chassis and steering wheel that lets you connect those brains to external tools, like, say, giving the AI the ability to use a calculator or browse a specific website.
Okay, so once you know how models talk to each other, you hit Step 6, Llama Index, which is for connecting AI to your custom data. Step 7 is NN, for incredibly powerful automation workflows. Step 8 brings in Crew AI, for creating teams of AI agents that collaborate. Step 9 is LangGraph, for highly complex, stateful agent applications, which is really just a fancy way of saying AI systems that possess memory and can remember past interactions over days or weeks without losing the thread. And finally, Step 10 is applying the business and market trends taught by experts like Matt Wolf to turn all those technical skills into actual revenue.
Moving on to Stage 1, the AI user, grasping the fundamentals.
Let's start our evolutionary arc at a really approachable starting point. This is where everyone begins, and honestly, it's where most people unfortunately stop, but we're going to do it right. An AI user in this context isn't just someone who downloaded a cool app. It's someone who systematically studies the official documentation. You are learning the core mechanics, how to write robust system prompts, how to tweak temperature controls to make the AI more creative or more analytical, and how context windows actually function. By committing to reading the actual manuals provided by the creators of ChatGPT, Claude, and Gemini, you instantly separate yourself from about 90% of the general public.
Next up, Stage 2, the power user, expanding capabilities. Now we're going to pick up the pace a bit. You know how to talk to the AI, sure, but now you need to know how it actually works under the hood. Shifting to Hugging Face and LangChain elevates you from just typing out prompts to deeply understanding model capabilities. The power user bridges that gap. The Hugging Face course teaches you exactly what transformers are, the underlying architecture that allows AI to predict the next word in a sequence so effectively. And then, LangChain introduces you to the concept of taking an AI model and giving it a strict sequence of operations. This is the exact moment where you stop being a passive user and start becoming a director.
As a power user, you'll also want to rapidly expand your toolkit by diving into the specific developer docs for Google, Mistral, and DeepSeek. And you might be wondering, why these specifically? Well, a true power user knows how to route easy, repetitive tasks to highly efficient, cheap models and save the massive, complex reasoning for the heavy hitters like Claude. Mistral and DeepSeek offer incredibly powerful, cost-effective, and open-source alternatives to the big commercial giants. Getting familiar with their platforms means you can choose the absolute best, most economically viable tool for whatever specific problem you're trying to solve, maximizing privacy and minimizing costs.
All right, stage 3, the AI builder, constructing systems.
Hold on to your hats, because right here is where the learning curve suddenly ramps up like a roller coaster. This is where you actually start building and stringing together complex automations. As an AI builder, you aren't just using AI anymore. You're embedding it into core business systems. You're using Llama Index to build RAG systems. That's Retrieval-Augmented Generation, which basically gives an AI the ability to perfectly recall your private internal data. You're using N8N, which is essentially Zapier on steroids for AI, allowing you to connect an inbox to a CRM, have an AI summarize an incoming lead, and draft a response before you even open your laptop. And with Crew AI, you're literally building digital departments that work together to accomplish massive multi-step tasks.
To pull this off, you're going to need to arm yourself with a specific builder's toolkit. Think of it as your digital workshop. Want to build a beautiful, seamless web interface for your custom AI tool? You'll need the Vercel AI SDK and Open Web UI. Want to run powerful reasoning models entirely locally on your own hardware to ensure your sensitive corporate data never touches the open internet? That's exactly where Ollama comes in. Want to drag and drop Visual Builder for mapping out complex agent networks without writing 1,000 lines of code? You dive into the Flies documentation. These are the mechanical tools that turn your abstract concepts into deployed functional reality.
And finally, stage 4, AI entrepreneur, deploying and monetizing.
Now we've reached the absolute peak of our evolutionary journey. To thrive here, you're combining highly technical agent deployments, like with LangGraph, with the hardcore business acumen needed to actually monetize your AI applications. LangGraph represents the cutting edge of what's possible right now, creating complex, looping, thinking networks that can solve problems completely autonomously. But as we all know, the best tech in the world is totally useless if nobody wants to buy it, right? You're taking those foundational Big Five models we talked about at the beginning, wiring them into autonomous networks and packaging them into software that businesses will actually pay for. That is exactly why the entrepreneur stage requires consuming content from creators who map out market trends and actual consumer demand. It's the perfect marriage of high tech and high strategy.
Which brings us to Section 6, Staying Ahead in AI, Power-Ups and Maintenance.
Look, the AI landscape moves so incredibly fast that you need continuous power-ups just to survive. You literally can't stop learning, not even for a week. These 5 YouTube channels act as your daily visual mentors, keeping your practical skills incredibly sharp. Matt Wolf covers the critical macro trends and business opportunities. AI Jason is phenomenal when you need an over-the-shoulder look at exactly how to engineer a new agent system. All About AI provides the deep philosophical and architectural dives you need for truly comprehensive understanding. The AI Advantage focuses heavily on practical, immediate prompt applications. And Network Chuck breaks down complex networking concepts over a cup of coffee, ensuring your IT fundamentals are absolutely flawless as you scale up your systems.
And to make sure you're never caught off guard by the bleeding edge, bookmarking these newsletters and research hubs is an absolute must. YouTube is great for what's happening today, but these resources, they show you what's happening tomorrow. For instance, if OpenAI or DeepSeek drops a groundbreaking new reasoning model in the middle of the night, Papers with Code and Hugging Face Daily are exactly where you'll find the open source community ripping it apart and explaining its capabilities by breakfast. Reading Latent Space or Ben's Bites with your morning coffee basically guarantees you'll consistently be the most informed person in the room regarding where the technology is headed next.
So, you have the roadmap. The tools are mapped out right in front of you.
From grasping the specific nuances of ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, DeepSeek, and Mistral in the official documentation, all the way up to deploying complex, memory-driven agent architectures to actual paying clients. The transition from an everyday AI user to a pioneering AI entrepreneur isn't magic. It's simply a sequence of highly focused, intentional learning. The ladder is right there. So, looking at the year ahead, are you going to stay a passive user, or are you ready to start building?